What's up, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Money. I'm Nikolay Timoshchuk Jr., and I cannot wait to jump in today's topic. It's exciting, for me especially, how I was able to afford my own home at the age of 24, how I got my first property and my first house at 24 years old, not really understanding everything yet, but being able to double down and make sure that I was prepared to have my own home at 24 years old is something that I am proud of myself. Yeah! To this day, it's one of those things that I'm sitting in the house right now. It's mine. I own it. Well, the bank owns it. I have a mortgage, which I'll get into a little bit deeper. But it's considered mine, and I'm able to come home to it every single day, and I'm able to pay off my mortgage every single month. With all that being said, I'm just gonna jump right into the story of how I was able to do that. Initially, when I was in college, I was not really sure of what I was going to be doing, where I was going to be going, but as soon as I graduated college with my master's degree, I started researching things I could do, and I decided to become a high school business teacher. I hadn't had a job yet. I moved home from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where I got my master's degree at Charleston Southern University, and came home and started working in a family business doing construction and helping with the finances and dealing with all those different things. So I was excited for this next chapter of life. I just didn't know what it would hold. So eventually I got a job as a high school teacher, started saving money, and what I didn't do is go out and get an apartment or rent a house. What I did is I moved back in with my dad and saved that money every single month. A lot of people think that's embarrassing. A lot of people think that's just like, wow, I could never do that. I could never go back and live with my parents after college, but you can. Society tries to tell you that you can't, but you can.
I know that I can, I know that I will, and I know that I am.
And don't let people try to trick you out of your own money. All this feeling bad and all this, I can't live with my parents. If you got a decent relationship with your parents, you can do it. You did it for 18 years. You can do it for another 1 to 2 years while you save up a down payment to get your own house. And that's what the point of this video is. I'm going to explain to you how you can save that amount of money, what's the percentage you need, and how you can kind of build that credit score while you're in college, and so that you could go into buying a house as soon as you graduate and get a good job, so you can, support with a W-2 and show the bank that, hey, I have a good job, I have the credit score, I want to buy a house, let me get a mortgage. How do we do that? We're going to jump right in. But before we do that, if you can help me out here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell, hit that like and share this video. As you guys can click on all these buttons, it helps the algorithm and it helps my videos get out to a different audience that's not already watching, so I appreciate every single one of you. But let's jump right back into what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you 5 tips, in my opinion, on how you could actually go into owning your own home. Literally, I'd say a year or two, maybe, not even 6 months after you graduate college, or get done doing what you want to do for 2 or 3 years out of high school and kind of get on your feet. The first thing I will start with is start banking with a local bank in your community. I get it. There's the Bank of America, the Chase, you got the Wells Fargos, you got all these big name banks. Most of these banks, and I hate to say this because they do a lot of good for businesses and things of that sort, but they don't necessarily care about the small fish. They don't care about the little guy. And it's a little bit harder to get approved for a mortgage or something of that sort. I'm not saying you can't get approved for a mortgage or get a home loan, but it's a little bit harder. So start banking with a local community bank. That's what I did, and those people will go to bat for you. Most of you out there already have bank accounts and everything. Go find yourself. This doesn't have to be just for the person that's graduating college or whatever. This is just how I did it, and the tips for anybody that's about 18 to 22 that wants to start, or even if in your mid-30s, 40s, or 50s, and you still haven't owned your own home, this is how you can do it. Go find that local bank in your community and start banking with them immediately. The second part of how you can start this process is by getting your credit score in a good place, in a good position, so that when you are ready, you can have that credit score already built up. And what does that mean? How do you even start? What is a credit score? What does all this stuff even mean? I'm just gonna kind of touch on it. The credit score tells the bank, hey, this person has a good history of paying payments on time, of making sure that if they borrowed something, they paid it back. That's all that credit score tells people, and it just shows them that you have leveraging power. That means you can borrow money, but you can also pay it it back, because who really wants to borrow money and not get paid back? I bet you still remember when you borrowed that friend 20 bucks or whatever, 5 bucks 4 years ago, but all they do is post stories about how they're enjoying life, and you still haven't got your 5 or 20 bucks back. Ain't that right? But what you can do is start with small credit cards. There's a lot of companies out there. When I was in college, and that was 7, 8, 9 years ago, I got my first credit card with Discover. And it was a student credit card. It started out with like a $500 limit, and every day for the next 4 years until I graduated, well, 5 with my master's, I started building that credit. I would get a little bit of gas, then I would pay it off. I'd get some food and I'd pay it off. $500 a month, you think, oh, I'm afraid of that. Listen, if you want a credit score, you want to be able to buy your own house and get a mortgage, that's how you start building it. And once that credit score starts accumulating good progress, and you know, the credit reports start telling all these credit companies, hey, this guy is actually a good customer for us. Guess what? Other credit card companies start saying, hey, why don't you come to us? Then you get a little bit higher limit. And this is how you can show banks, hey, no matter what I borrow, I'm going to pay it back. So technically, without having any credit history, this is the best way to build yours up. Start building that credit score so when it's time to make a bigger purchase, you can sit there and actually get a home mortgage. So that is how you do it. That's number 2. How do you get your credit score up without even having a credit score? Get these small credit cards and actually monitor and manage yourself to start building that credit score up as much as you possibly need. The probably most important, but probably the hardest thing you have to do at this point is start saving money. You know, we buy drinks, we buy coffees, we buy this, we buy that. We want this new shirt, we want. It's stuff you want, not stuff you need. But what you could do is start saving money. Typically, when you're going to get a mortgage or you're trying to get that home loan, you need 20% down of the home so that the bank knows, like, hey, this guy or lady has 20% of what this home is actually worth, and they have a good credit score history. We're gonna loan the rest of that amount, and they'll be able to make the payments no problem. Now, you don't have to actually put down 20%, but what that does is it eliminates PMI, which is an insurance that you're gonna have to pay for, which then in return takes a lot more of your money. There's different type of things out there. The first time home buyer loans, lots of different type of ways that you can get around putting 20% down. But look, if you're gonna save money over a few years, why not knock out 20% of a house and have that in equity? You'd already be owning a portion of your home, 20% of it. So that's pretty cool. If you get that 20% payment down, you'll get a great rate to lock in on a mortgage loan, and that's pretty awesome. Think about this. Let's say you are 18 years old and you go off to college and you save $500 a month. Just let's say $500. You already don't have money, but you start saving $500 a month. It's tough, right? But guess what? After 1 year, what's 500 times 12? $6,000. You have $6,000 in your bank account after year 1. After year 2, you have $12,000. After year 3, you have $18,000. And after year 4, you have $24,000 for a 20% down payment on a house. You don't have to jump into a $200,000 house initially. You could get a $150,000 fixer-upper, need less money down, and do a little work yourself. Every YouTube video possible can teach you how to DIY a house in no time. If you got to paint walls, if you got to replace a few things, and of course, every house isn't perfect. You're not going to jump into a $350,000 house as your first purchase and be able to just live magically. No, it takes hard work. Start saving in small increments. You think it doesn't matter, but you probably spend anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year on excess things that you really don't need that could have a down payment for a brand new home to you. Not a brand new home, but a brand new home to you that you actually own and could pay your mortgage for a 15, 20, or 30-year note. That's awesome stuff. Start saving money. All right, I will say there's a difficult aspect to this process. Even though mostly everything is pretty self-explanatory and kind of easy if you actually have self-discipline. And what is that? It's getting a job. Okay, if a job shows good job security, banks are ready. If you have a W-2, if you work for somebody and let's say you're a nurse, you went to school, you became an RN, and you have that and you work for a hospital, guess what? The bank is ready to loan you money as long as your credit score is even average in most cases. If you have 20% down, you have an average credit score, and you're a nurse, you're gonna get a mortgage from a local bank in most cases that has a relationship with you. That's just how it works. Even if you work for a bigger company, if you're in a sales executive position for like a Walmart or whatever it is, they just see that, hey, this company has proof that they are long-standing and they're, this person is trustworthy, and they go through their things. And if your debt to income ratio makes sense and you have the 20% down payment, you are good to go. What sucks is if you own your own business, then you're considered self-employed. You are considered a 1099 employee, which just means that you're self-employed, but banks then require at least 2 years of employment history, and not just any employment history. You can't make $10,000 and be like, hey, I want a mortgage so I can buy a house. Even though you might be making cash, you might not be actually claiming things on your taxes. That's not good, because then you actually show the bank like, hey, I don't have any money, even though you might have it in cash or whatever. The bank doesn't see that. They have to see it on statements. So if you are starting your own business or whatever it is, and you have that time to build because you've already been doing it, you just haven't thought about starting a process of buying your own home, what you do is make sure that you claim enough on your taxes, and you are making sure that you make enough every year to show the bank like, hey, I make $55,000 to $75,000 a year. I can afford this mortgage. Even when I was a teacher, you come out of college, you make like $35,000, and they approved me because I had a master's degree, and I made $41,500 my first year. And they approved me because they knew that teachers get a steady income. Every 2 weeks, there's a check, and you just keep on getting that money, and you'd be able to afford debt to income ratio what it is. So that is probably the toughest thing, but it's just one of those things you got to work through, and you have plenty of years. You've probably wasted 10, 15, 20 years or the past 5 years not worrying about these things, and if you would have known, you would have approached it a little bit differently. Am I right? Alrighty, the last thing on my list, number 5, is stay disciplined. Stay disciplined so you can own your own home. That is the toughest part about all this. Saving the money, yes, it's hard, but it's not the hardest part. Getting your credit score, a little tough, not the hardest part. Getting a job, kind of tough, not the hardest part. Getting a local bank, not hard at all. You just go in and open an account. But staying disciplined throughout this entire process is what makes it so much more worth it at the end. When you finally walk into your own door, you put the keys in, you jingle them, or you type in your little code because it's 2021 at this point, and you can just walk into your own home, kick your shoes off, sit on your own couch and watch your own TV after a long day at work. But you must stay disciplined. Getting that bank account, saving that money, making sure you make payments on time, not missing a payment because then it tells the bank you are not trustworthy, and then getting that job or making sure that you start that business so that you can show that income. Those are the tough parts. The easy part is once it's done, right? You have a house, you're in it. But for the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, you'd be still paying someone rent money. So if you could actually start this process while you're renting, while you're somewhere, that is okay. Don't be discouraged just because you live in someone's house right now and you're paying them rent and they're paying off the mortgage with that money. That's just how life works. You can't be mad and counting somebody else's pockets. You just got to go into your own, save that, put it back into your pocket, and then start taking the necessary steps to actually make this happen. And you'll own your own home by the age of 24 if you want to. There's people that own homes by the age of 20, 17, 18, you name it. The way society works nowadays, anybody can make a come up and buy their own home. And that's what you can do by starting these 5 tips. Start now, you'll thank me later. Come back in 5 years, drop a comment, and just literally put thank you. And put 5 years later, I own my own home. However, without further ado, this is the end of the video. Like I said, if you liked it, please subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, share, drop a comment. I want to know what y'all want to talk about. I want to touch on those subjects. I want to talk about the topics that actually excite you. Business, finance, it's exciting to me. Talking money, it's exciting to me. I love sharing my knowledge and my experience in life. Like I said, I got to travel the world. I get to own my own home. I get to do all these things that a lot of people dream of, but it's not because I got lucky. It's not because it just fell in my lap. It's because I worked towards a certain goal. I set a goal, which you must do, and then I worked towards it. Do the same thing, and I promise you, you will thank me later. You're gonna own your own house. You're gonna go do whatever you want. It's called ownership, and it feels amazing. So, without further ado, I'll see you on my next video. Take care. Peace out.